Welcome into Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton along with Wade Neely. We are coming to you from the Lee Company Studios. Wade at his home in Pulaski. Me right here on West 7th Street in Columbia. Happy to be with you ahead of Francine and whatever chaos she's bringing with her. So, should be a fun show here the next couple of hours as we talk about sports of local, regional, and national impact. So looking forward to doing so. Wade, you are getting ready for a Thursday night contest where you're going to be worldwide, I guess, right?
Yeah, looking forward to a good one, man, as Lawrence County and Giles County will finally tangle. And, this game was originally scheduled to be played Friday night. Giles County and Lawrence County were the innovators, Mo. Let's get one thing straight. All these other Johnny-come-latelys that have moved their games to tonight this week, Giles County and Lawrence County did that 2 weeks ago. Still really don't know why. They cited referee shortage, trying to help folks out and do the right thing by the TSSAA. I'm sure there's probably more to the story. But they moved this game a couple of weeks ago to Thursday, and maybe a good thing that they did because, Sam Davis Park probably won't be looking as pristine this time tomorrow as it does currently.
Often imitated, never duplicated. The cowbell game.
I mean, yeah, it's been a long time coming. This is the first meeting at Giles County since 2017. After they paused for a number of years, Lawrence County hosted last year, and I mean, it's going to be fun. There's always a little drama and intrigue in addition to the football game.
Yeah. Now, if you were watching this week's episode of the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show, you saw one of us give a prediction on this ball game tonight. One of us. Because one of us abstains as the play-by-play announcer for the Bobcats.
Yeah, one thing I don't want is folks to come at me and saying that I'm biased, I got it out for Giles County or I got it out for Lawrence County. So as folks on social media will tell you, things get heated in this rivalry. Things get heated at family reunions in this type of rivalry. This is the type of rivalry that you got to go and you got to work alongside these people. You got to grow up alongside these people. And one Friday night every year, you get to kind of put that to the wayside and have fun on the gridiron. So, yeah, no prediction for me today. I am predicting a good game, though.
And so you just don't want folks storming the press box then, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And, well, depending on how the weather goes tonight, I think folks will be storming the press box. We'll put a padlock on the radio booth tonight. Chris Bledsoe, myself, Mark Mize, Scott Stewart, a lot of folks, AJ Good, our friend and colleague over there in Lawrence County. It's going to be a big game, but one of just several big games. Talk about another one. How about this one over in East Tennessee? The big Thursday night game in East Tennessee, Mo, is Greenville at Alcoa tonight, which should be a slobber knocker.
Yeah, that should be a good one for sure. Just if you are going up to the press box at the Brickyard, be careful on those steel steps because if it is raining, they can be a little treacherous. So just keep that in mind. Got a great show today. In the second hour, we are going to visit with CHERI Kemp, Vice President of Athletes Unlimited. As earlier this week, we talked about the announcement that organization had that they would be playing their women's pro basketball season at Nashville's Municipal Auditorium in February of next year. So we're going to get a little bit more in-depth with CHERI on the significance of that, the significance of Athletes Unlimited, and their importance on the women's athletics landscape. And it's pretty significant. So looking forward to talking with her. CHERI and I kind of go back a little bit. So again, looking forward to having her on. In the next segment, we will visit with second-year East Nashville football coach DAMIEN Harris. His Eagles ranked number 2 in Class 3A behind Alcoa. So I'm going to check in with him and see what he thinks about his squad as they head into week 4 of the high school football season. We'll also be talking, well, in that segment, we'll also be giving out our Athlete of the Week and our Team of the Week awards. So be sure and stick around for that. We'll be talking a little Braves, a little Astros, very little, some other baseball developments, both at the major league level and at the collegiate level. So stick around for that. Little NFL, we got NFL action again tonight. Little WNBA.
Big game.
Big game tonight. Absolutely. Looking forward to that as well. And it is Throwback Thursday. We will be throwing it back to a recent conversation that we had with David UBBEN of The Athletic. So always fun when we can get him on, and looking forward to the re-airing of that conversation. So big show, as they typically tend to be, and looking forward to it. So let's go ahead, Wade, and get started on it with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Strap in, folks. The rundown begins now. Volleyball scores from last night. Loretto defeating Hampshire 3-0. That was our lone score that we have reported in Southern Middle Tennessee here. Girls soccer, though, I got a handful of those, including Friendship Christian, who defeated Clarksville Academy 3-1 last night. Fairview takes care of John Overton 3-0. Murfreesboro Central Magnet all over Giles County in the borough. 7-0 was your final score there. 8-2 was the tally as Nashville Christian defeats Davidson Academy. Major League Baseball action last night. It was the Nationals knocking off the Braves 5-1, and it was the Athletics knocking off the Astros 5-4. Sounds action last night. The Memphis Redbirds come into Nashville and thwart a victory bid from the Sounds. 6-3 was your final there. In minor league baseball action. WNBA scores from last night. The Aces on top of the Fever, 86-75. 89-58 was the score as the Mystics defeat the Sky. And it was the Seattle Storm defeating the Sparks. 90-82 was your final there.
High school football action tonight, Thursday night. High school football starts at Battleground Academy, 7 o'clock. They take on the Bears of Davidson. Watertown travels to DeKalb County for a 7 o'clock start. Dixon County is at Gallatin. That game is kicking off at 6:30, apparently. Again, Lawrence County and Giles County will play at the Brickyard. The Cowbell game kickoff is at 7. Also at 7, Nolensville is at Glencliff. Page goes to Laverne. Warren County is at Mount Juliet. Donaldson Christian travels to Providence Christian, and Westmoreland hosts Jackson County. Volleyball action this evening at 5 o'clock. Santa Fe is at Zion Christian. At 5:45, Columbia Academy travels to Middle Tennessee Christian, and Providence Christian goes to University School of Nashville.
That takes us into 6 o'clock. A lot of matches going down at 6 p.m. tonight, including Mount Pleasant at Collinwood, Murfreesboro Central Magnet at Community tonight at 6 p.m. Fayetteville at Culleoka this evening. It'll be Forest at Eagleville, Franklin County at Lawrence County tonight. Smyrna, who's at Lebanon this evening. It'll be Riverdale at Rockvale, Columbia at Shelbyville, Gallatin traveling to Station Camp. Laverne is at Stewart's Creek. 6:30 start time as Siegel travels to Oakland, and Davidson Academy hits the road for a trip to Eazell Harding.
Girls soccer action this evening, 4 o'clock. Glencliff is at Eazell Harding. At 5 o'clock, Good Pasture hosts Mount Juliet Christian. Also at 5, Cornersville is at Culleoka. Donaldson Christian travels to Springfield. St. Cecilia hosts Lawson. 5:30, first touch for STEM Academy at Hunters Lane. At 6, Franklin Christian is at Battle Creek. Also at 6, Zion Christian travels to Columbia Academy. Montgomery Central is at Creekwood. East Robertson hosts Russellville of Kentucky. Station Camp goes to Greenbrier. White House Heritage is at Hume Fogg. Lead Academy is hosting Republic. Lebanon goes to Smyrna. Providence Christian is at Webb School out in Bell Buckle. Harpeth Hall goes to Brentwood Academy at 6:30. Ensworth is at Christ Presbyterian Academy at 6:30. Also at 6:30, University School of Nashville is at Franklin Road Academy. Hickman County hosts Kenwood. Riverdale travels to Laverne. Lipscomb Academy hosts Father Ryan. Siegel is at Rockvale. Clarksville Northeast goes to Sycamore, and Antioch is at Valor Collegiate at 6:30.
Taking us into 7 o'clock this evening, Clarksville Northwest at Rossview. Columbia traveling to Shelbyville this evening. Coffee County at Spring Hill tonight. Ravenwood at Summit. Clarksville is at West Creek. Green Hill traveling to Beach. Brentwood at Centennial tonight at 7. Also at 7, Dixon County at Cheatham County. Independence making the trip over to Franklin. White House is at Gallatin this evening. Hillsboro at Mount Juliet. Blackman and Oakland will battle. Oakland will play host to Blackman tonight. And Page will host Nolensville in what should be a dandy at 7 p.m. once again tonight. Kicking off the rest of our schedule for today. Game already underway. The Athletics are at the Astros. Game is currently being broadcast on MLB Network. And the Sounds, we already have an update. The Sounds game has been postponed. They will play a doubleheader, I presume, on Saturday.
Correct.
Like
Wade, that Houston leads that game 2-0 in the bottom of the fourth, by the way.
Hallelujah. Thank you for the
There we
good
go.
news there.
Yes,
WNBA score or update for tonight. The Liberty are at the Wings, 7 p.m. That game can be seen on Amazon. Also on Amazon tonight, we told you guys there was a big NFL game. AFC East showdown between the Bills, who are at the Dolphins. 7:15 will be your kickoff time. Once again, Amazon Prime is your destination for that. That is your schedule. And ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown.
Always by Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill here in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. till 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. Here not too long ago, we mentioned in this very same spot, I think, that the Mountain West had chosen not to play nice with Oregon State and Washington State in terms of football scheduling past this current season. Well, some of the Mountain West has decided that they will indeed play nice with Oregon State and Washington State because the Pac-12 put out a release at 6 a.m. Pacific time, which I guess is 9 a.m. on the East Coast. So I guess their media relations people get paid double time for coming in early like that. I don't know. But Boise State, Colorado State, California State, Fresno, affectionately known as Fresno State, and San Diego State will be joining this refers to it as the Pac-12, effective July 1st, 2026, with competition to begin for all conference sports in the 26-27 school year. So, again, I guess Washington State and Washington State and Oregon State will have to kind of figure things out for 2026 on the football field, but at least they'll know that come 2026, they're going to be in good shape. So they've just got to figure out how to get through 2025. But this gets the pack. It's now a 6-pack, or will be a 6-pack effective July 1st, 2026. And I would imagine that the idea is to try to get at least 2 more schools involved for that same date, because I think you have to have a minimum of 8 to qualify as a quote power conference. Is that your understanding, Wade, or do you
see? That sounds believable. I tell you what, I don't know for sure, but that sounds like the appropriate amount, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. And so certainly a step in the right direction for Oregon State and Washington State, and a step toward additional prestige, I guess, for Boise and for Fresno and for San Diego and Colorado State. So this new world order looking kind of interesting out on the West Coast, I guess. The 6 universities unite to drive growth, exposure, and value for the legacy and brand of the 100-year-old conference, its member institutions, and student athletes. I still think it's a little disingenuous for them to refer to themselves as the Pac-12 conference, but hey, y'all do you.
Yeah, we got the Big 18, which doesn't really roll off the tongue. So I guess genie's out of the bottle, so to speak. Little baby's all grown up, right? I mean, we went from the Pac-2, and now we're up to the six-pack, as you mentioned. And I think this is a good get. San Diego State, especially, was the jewel that everybody kind of is after. They've got a great department anyway, but especially when they made that run to the title game in basketball 2 years ago, kind of further solidified their reputation. Fresno State got a good program. Boise State is sneaky good at a lot of sports. May just very well have the Heisman winner this year if things continue the way they are right now. Colorado State, interesting program, good at a lot of sports. We've seen them with success in men's basketball the last couple of years. I mean, this is kind of salvaging what little bit you could, it feels like. And at least for the moment, I'm a little hopeful, a little excited to see what maybe potentially is still to come for these universities here.
Yeah, you wonder what direction they go in to continue to try to grow this thing. I saw UNLV mentioned somewhere, and I just don't think that's something that's ever going to happen. I just think, historically, Nevada, Las Vegas may just be a little too far out there for the Pac, whatever they are. Although they do play their basketball tournament in Vegas now, right? Or have?
They do. I want to say they play their football tournament there, or their championship game for football as well.
I think you're right.
If it's UNLV, you either got to join the Pac-12 or the ACC comes calling after you. I mean, which one do you want to go to at this point, right?
There you go.
But yes, there are some, maybe not quote unquote household names that are out there. But I mean, this is a chance to still put some things together as they kind of try and piece together the wreckage that the Pac-12 kind of disintegrating left them there.
Absolutely. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we will be joined by East Nashville football coach DAMIEN Harris. Stay tuned when we come back. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
He shoots, and he scores!
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. We're coming to you from the Lee Company Studios. Wade at his home in Pulaski. Me here at West 7th Street in Columbia. And it is time for Coach's Corner, where we try to catch up with a area coach.
How you guys doing?
Collegiate level. We have Damien Harris, the second-year coach at East Nashville, joining us. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good.
We're doing well, thanks. Hey, appreciate you taking some time with us. Looking at the current status of the East Nashville Eagles, they are doing well. 3-0, ranked number 2 in the Tennessee Sports Writers Association's Class 3A statewide poll, have opened the season with victories over Pope John Paul II, Kenwood, and John Overton, scoring a minimum of 39 points in each of those 3 games. Coach, the offense is clicking, I assume.
I'm a big believer in it's better to be lucky than good, and I think we've been getting real lucky.
They all count the same, though, right?
Correct.
Yeah. You'll take that luck, but sometimes, what is it they say? Luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Correct. Truthfully, though, our guys, they've been doing a great job. Have a lot of new guys that had to step up this year because we lost a good senior class, especially on the offensive side. My whole wide receiver core, starting wide receiver core, they all left, graduated. So trying to pick up off that, they was good leaders. So I think the guys behind them learned a lot.
Coach, you guys make it look so easy sometimes at East Nashville that we assume that you just kind of reload more than anything. But when you break it down like that, how intense is that rebuilding process for you guys, as talented as you are and as high a standard as you like to hold, knowing that you have to replace so many folks from a championship caliber team the last several years?
Well, one thing I like to do, I like to hold every player accountable. So my young guys, I hold them just accountable as some of my older guys and my starters. So when it's time for them to step up, I'm looking for them to be able to fill those shoes. I'm real big on the next man up. So like I tell every player, anybody can be replaced. So you got to go out there and perform every time you get a chance to. If not, then the guy behind you is ready to play.
As you came into this season, in your mind, are you guys ahead of schedule, on schedule, or behind schedule, perhaps, as we enter this showdown here this weekend?
Truthfully, I think we still behind schedule. Like I said, I think we've been able to get some big plays from some of our big time players. But defensively, I still think we're behind, unlike last year. And offense, soon we're still trying to gel and get a lot of things going in the right direction.
Coach Damien Harris of East Nashville joining us here on Coach's Corner, presented by the 10 Pin Alley Eat Play Party. Coach says that they're a little bit behind on offense. Again, they defeated Pope John Paul II 39-31 in week 1, defeated Kenwood 50-14 in week 2, and last week's win was a 49-7 decision over Overton. So that's what, 99, 129, 138. That's almost 45 points a game, and the offense is behind. So tell me just what this offense is capable of, Coach, if that is behind.
Well, as you can see, we're giving up points too. So,
yeah, 21 in your last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we like I said, I feel like we behind. The scores don't always show it. We actually been getting some good play on our special teams. I think out of 3 games, we've had maybe 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns. We like to hang our hat on all phases of the game, and I think this was helping us out to score a lot of points.
When you can get contributions on the scoreboard in special teams and on defense, you know, that's kind of what separates good from great, isn't it, Coach?
Oh, correct. Yeah, definitely want to make sure everybody's doing their part on every phase of the game, especially special teams. A lot of games you can sneak some wins just on special teams alone. So,
Coach, you stepped into this situation last year after Jamal Stewart, who had taken East Nashville to back-to-back state championship game appearances, took over the program down at Centennial. What was that transition like for you? First stepping into a program where the expectations were what they were, and then being able to maintain that productivity and, you know, just kind of continue to build on those expectations.
Well, falling behind a coach like Coach Stewart, it's always going to be some big shoes to fill. People don't understand, going to a state championship is real hard to do. It ain't something you could just wake up and say, that's what you're going to do. You got to put a lot of preparation in. You got to do a lot of coaching. And you have to deal with a lot of different attitudes as well from the players. But I was kind of ready for it. I was ready to take on the challenge coming from my old school where I was the OC at Procon. I was used to, you know, being able to get to the state championship. So that's one thing that I had already planned on doing when I got here, was to make sure we get to the state championship. But I really want to win the state championship instead of keep getting there.
What do you take from coaching under Tony Brunetti into your own head coaching experience?
Well, me and Coach Brunetti, we still talk a lot to this day. We don't talk as much as we used to, but because he's won the state, so you know he don't have time for me no more. But just the little things, like always making sure my team's prepared for any outcome that can happen. Also making sure I stay on top of the kids, trying to get them to the next level, just by looking at grades, making sure I talk to different college coaches, and just trying to get the best out of the players, not only as a coach, but as a man.
You know, last year was kind of disjointed for y'all, Coach, because of the artificial turf situation, and you guys had to kind of play away from home for a little bit, and you didn't necessarily expect to. You finally got back into, you know, the friendly confines and had some success. What's been the difference from last year and that somewhat disjointedness to things being a little bit more smooth this time around? And how do you feel like that has paid off for y'all?
Well, I think last year, like I said, coming in as a new coach, luckily I was able to have a good senior class that was able to keep everything like the glue for the team. Because playing 8-9 away games is crazy, and not having anywhere to practice without lines. You know, we had to practice at parks and stuff like that. I would practice in somebody's backyard if they allow me, but it's a lot better now being able to go to a field where we have turf and able to get the good practices in. I think that's helped a lot. Now this year, like you said, it's running a lot smoother. Luckily, we've been having a lot of home games. We have 9, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we have 9 home games. So that helps us get more of the school morale as well as the neighborhood involved. Trying to get more of the East Nashville crowd to be more at the games and be real supportive. They're doing a great job with it. I know it was kind of hard going away every game last year. So now that we have home games, a lot of are showing up and supporting us.
You guys took your show on the road last year. Now it's a chance to come back home and give the local folks a chance to check it out, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's the main thing, making sure everybody's happy, especially the people that support you the most.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, that's very well said. And I also wanted to ask you, what can you tell us about some of the guys that are producing at a high level for you? Keith Johnson seems like he's really running the ball, but as well, close to 500 yards already. But as you said, it feels like this offense still is potentially capable of even more as this season goes along.
Yeah, Keith Johnson, his goal this year, he said he want to be up for Mr. Football. So that's one thing he's preparing his body and his mindset of trying to get into that Mr. Football conversation. But my quarterback, he's played real well. Martez Lamb, he's came in and did a great job. He started last year. And like I said, having 3 new receivers, I knew it would take some time for him to get accustomed to all 3 new guys. But luckily, our offensive line is doing a great job. Coach CHERI, who's the offensive line coach, he don't play with them. Like, he makes sure everything is fine-tuned, and they got to be perfect. So that's helped a lot.
Coach, you mentioned Martez Lamb. There's a clip on the internet. I think it was versus Liberty Creek last year. You guys win in the postseason, and he runs over and he's getting ready to direct the band. And the team kind of called him back. He was ready to celebrate. And he was ready to direct the band. Our colleague Blaine Keller shared this clip, and then he tweeted and said, "Man, I hope I get my chance one day." And you just mentioned his name. How good can he be? And will he potentially get a chance to conduct the band kind of in that senior moment if he continues to play the way that he has as you guys try and get closer to another bid for a gold ball?
Well, truthfully, I don't think he'll ever be that good to be conducting the band. That's something Peyton Manning can do. He's a good kid, though. Like, sometimes you get caught up in the moment, and I'm sure that was one of those moments he got caught up in.
He was excited. He was excited, and then he runs right back like, "Oh yeah, maybe this is probably not the right place or right time." So, but he said he wanted his shot one day, so I at least wanted to give him a little love there, a little props, I suppose.
Yeah, luckily I didn't see it. Like that type of stuff. I'm not one of them coaches that like you to rub it in people's faces. Do what you're supposed to do and get back to where you're supposed to be.
Sounds like his teammates maybe policed that a little bit, but I'm sure he saw Peyton Manning do it at some point or another and that kind of thing. And he just wanted to, get over there and celebrate with them a little bit.
Yeah, the team must have knew, like, not only will he get punished, they gonna get punished too for allowing him to do something crazy.
Yeah, hey, hurry back. We ain't all getting in trouble for this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Bless his heart.
He goes back pretty quick.
Let me stop. Damien Harris, football coach at East Nashville, joining us here on Main Street Sports today on Coach's Corner, presented by 10 Pin Alley Eat Play Party. Coach, you guys get Region 5-3A play started tomorrow night against a familiar foe as Maplewood comes to Keys Stadium. And, you talk about getting back in front of your fans, and I would imagine Maplewood will have a few fans at this one as well. This Maplewood coming off their first win of the season this past weekend. This should be a good one.
Yeah, well, one thing about Maplewood, they are real well coached. Coach Chris Simpson, he does a great job with those guys. He's you can even see it on film. They play with high intensity. They flying around. And I think he's getting them going back in the right direction. He's an alumni from Maplewood. And me and him, we actually coached like a year at Pearl-Cohn together. He came through and he coached 1 year with us. And he's a good guy. And games like this, where it's a rivalry game, both teams are going to be up for the challenge. So I just got to make sure my guys are really, really ready.
There's up and there's two up, though, right, Coach?
Correct. That's one of the things that I harp on them about. Like, you can't overlook anybody, and you got to be prepared for anything. So I told them, we trying to prepare to win a state. So every game is considered a state championship game. If
you win state, can Martez conduct the band?
Hey, he can go up there and blow the horn if we win the state. He don't have to just conduct. He can go right up there and get the tuba and play the tuba if he wants to. I might be with him.
Damien Harris, East Nashville football coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports today, again presented by 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party. Coach Harris, we appreciate your time. Wish you guys luck this weekend against Maplewood, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Coach.
You. Hey, before we dip out of this segment, let's give away some awards. First of all, our Custom Stone Handlers Team of the Week. We've talked about them on the Southern Middle Tennessee High School Football Show. They have gone back-to-back games without giving up a touchdown. They have scored a defensive touchdown in each of their last two games. Columbia Central's Lions improving to 2-1 with this past week's 24-0 win over Hunters Lane. The Lions are our Custom Stone Handlers Team of the Week. Besides the military, athletics is one of your greatest team building functions, and Custom Stone Handlers invites you to get in the game. Again, the Custom Stone Handlers Into Win Life Team of the Week, the Columbia Central Lions football team. The Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia's Athlete of the Week, Sophie Williams, senior forward for Culleoka. In their only game last week, Sophie scored 4 goals, added an assist in the Lady Warriors 7-1 win out at Zion Christian. So Sophie Williams, Culleoka Senior, is our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Athlete of the Week this week. Congratulations both to Sophie and to the Columbia Central Lions football team, our award winners for this week. Be sure and check back next week to see who our Custom Stone Handlers Into Win Life Team of the Week is, and our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance Athlete of the Week. And also come back and see who we have on Coach's Corner, presented by the 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA. When we come back to the Lee Company studios, we'll talk a little baseball. Stay tuned.
You wanna be a bad man? Yeah, you do. Do you wanna taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
Welcome to JHA Company, your trusted scholastic partner. We continue to serve schools with yearbooks, letter jackets, and graduation regalia. But now we offer so much more. Our school photography division offers high-quality images that capture the spirit and energy of your students and staff. Let us help build your identity, creating a cohesive look that represents your school's values and traditions. Our e-commerce solutions make it easy for schools to manage and sell their branded apparel online. Let's work together to make every school year unforgettable. Visit our website or contact us today to learn more. JHA Company, celebrating achievements, building identities, and creating memories.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. In 2006, with the Mets' 6-4 win over the Marlins, the Braves were eliminated from contention for the National League East Championship, ending their string of consecutive division titles at 14. From 1991, when they went from worst to first and won the first of 3 straight NL West crowns, to 2005, Atlanta's 14 straight division crowns are a record in Major League sports. Only the New England Patriots, with 11 straight AFC East championships from 2009 to 2019, are close. That was this day in Braves history. Suffice it to say, the Braves will not be starting another string or continuing their string of division titles this year. Tough loss yesterday. Well, it wasn't really tough. I think they were down 3-0 at one point and ended up losing at Washington 5-1, splitting a short 2-game series in DC. And ugh. I mean, Wade tried to get me positive, and a 12-0 win on Tuesday night certainly helped with that, but it was just very, very ho-hum last night. Fortunately, they are off today before they start a 4-game series against the Dodgers. More on them in a second, by the way. The Braves did make a move yesterday. They had previously picked up Kevin Biggio, the son of former Astro Craig Biggio, and he had been stashed down at Gwinnett. Well, with the situation with Whit Merrifield and his foot, they decided to bring Biggio up to play second base. Option Luke Williams down to Gwinnett, who has been more of a third baseman when he has played for the Braves, but had been pressed into duty over at second here over the last few days. So Biggio starts last night. Williams goes down to Gwinnett. This is Biggio's 4th organization this season. Started the year with Toronto, spent about a month with the Dodgers, was with the Giants for a couple of weeks, and now is with Atlanta. So I imagine every now and then he kind of is like, where am I?
Yeah, wake up and say, hang on, where am I? What team am I on? Who are we playing?
What uniform am I putting on? Yeah, that's got to be crazy for him. Because, I mean, he was drafted by Toronto. He had been in that organization, pretty much his entire career until they released him earlier this year. So this is he's going to be ready for 24 to get over with, I would imagine, one way or another. Again, Houston dropping a 5-4 decision to Oakland yesterday, but things looking a little bit better for the Astros, or they were a little bit ago. Let's see where we're at. Still 2-0, top of the 7th.
Won't be
Houston
denied.
up.
You can beat us 2 out of 3, A's, but you can't sweep us.
No, not at home. That can't happen. Yeah.
Not with Seattle putting a little pressure. I caught the end of their game last night, and man, that crowd is, maybe it's just because we talked to Rick Sweet and we were talking about, waxing poetically about the Northwest, but that Mariners crowd was excited for their win last night over the Padres right before bed.
We mentioned that the Braves open a 4-game series tomorrow against the Dodgers at Truist Park. It'll be Spencer Schwellenbach going for Atlanta. It's Landon Knack for the Dodgers, and we'll talk more about that. But Wade, as we said yesterday and even earlier in the week, I'm pretty well convinced Shohei's going to get 50 and 50 in Atlanta this weekend, because last night in a 10-8 win against the Cubs, he hit his 47th home run and stole his 48th base. It's the 12th game this season in which he's both hit a homer and stolen a base, leaving him one short of the record 13 games in which a player hit a home run and stole a base in the same game. And that was, for my money, the greatest leadoff hitter in the history of the sport. Ricky Henderson did that 13 times in 1987.
Yeah, one of the absolute best, if not the very best, to do it. So, Ohtani, man, he's coming on, and we talked about it earlier in this in the week on this show that the Dodgers have been ran through in terms of injuries this year, and Ohtani has kind of been keeping them alive. Yeah, big dinger last night, got a stolen base, drove in 3. Wild game versus the Cubs. They had lost 2 of those games already to Chicago, so kind of a good little get back for them, hanging on for the 10-8 victory last night.
You dropped a little piece of knowledge. Oh, hang on a minute before we get away from this. Dodger starter Landon Knack. Heather Williams will be paying a little attention to this one probably. Johnson City native, pitched at East Tennessee State. So, yeah, that's there. I imagine he'll have a nice little crowd down at Truist tomorrow for that one. But you dropped a nice little piece of knowledge on us prior to the show yesterday, prior to today's show. Knowledge or misinformation, I'm not sure which, but there was an article back in 2018 when Ohtani was just kind of springing onto the scene, kind of questioning his abilities from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't question where Cody Derryberry, my good buddy, finds things on the internet, but he sent that along today. And yeah, Jeff Passan writing that article. And when it's one of those, freezing cold takes. The Twitter account exists for a reason, and that is the reason that account exists, because man, that does not look good in retrospect. I will admit,
not at all.
During this segment, he did a year later. He did come back a year later already and say that he was apologizing, for doubting Ohtani.
Good for him. Good for him, because on March 9th, 2018, the headline, which the writers may or may not write their headlines, but the verdict is in on Shohei Ohtani's bat, and it's not good. was the headline again on this March 2018 article. Now, if a year later he came back and issued his mea culpas, well, okay. If you do this long enough, you're going to screw something up, and this would qualify.
Absolutely. That's part of the biz in this, hot take culture that we're in, especially. You're going to get something wrong. And I got a couple other friends too, just buds. When he bursts on the scene, the hype was so much that you almost I mean, it was kind of LeBron James-esque in a sense
Mm-hmm.
that you just don't believe that nobody can be that good.
Nobody can be that good. Exactly. Yeah.
The hype can't be that real. You know, he ain't Babe Ruth 2.0. I mean, none of that can be real, and you don't want to believe it, or you
And then
can't
all of a
believe
sudden,
it. Bam,
yes.
here we are. And staring down 50-50 a little bit later this season, it seems almost inevitable.
It truly does. I mean, I don't know. I don't want him to get hurt, but I don't know what else keeps him from it. So there's an article, I think there was an article sometime this week about how he has gotten better in the base stealing facet of his game. And again, a point was made that with him not pitching this year, if he's got any base stealing ability, this is the year for him to really maximize that, just because he's not going to have the legs to do that when he's pitching as well.
No, doesn't appear. This might be, a one-off situation. And because it's the internet, we can't have nice things. Somebody did point out that, maybe this doesn't fly if we don't have the new MLB bases that look like the pizza boxes. If we're back to the older bases, maybe this number doesn't fly.
Come on.
I mean,
can we just stop with that and just give him his props for stealing?
No is the answer
bases?
because it's the internet, but I see where you're going with that.
I mean, these are the rules that are in play now. I mean, they did the
100%.
same thing with Acuna last year when he went 40-70. And, like you said, it's the internet, and there's always going to be someone. There's always going to be that guy or those guys or those people.
Girls.
Yeah. That as well. Guy was kind of non-gender specific.
Baseball guy is definitely a broad standing term for sure, because lurking around on the internet, there's always one, that has 25 consecutive immaculate grids completely filled out. There's always one of those folks you got to be on the lookout for. hadn't missed an immaculate grid in 6 months. There's always somebody around like that.
No doubt. Bowden Francis did what he could do for the Braves yesterday for as long as he could do it. The Toronto Blue Jays starter went 8 no-hit innings against the Mets and then gave up a leadoff home run to Francisco Lindor. And if that sounds familiar, it's because it's the second time in Francis's last 4 starts that he has taken a no-hitter into the 9th and given up a leadoff home run.
Oof.
Can you believe that?
Talk about snake bit.
On August 24th against the Angels, he threw 8 no-hit innings. Taylor Ward led off the 9th with a homer. And so with Francis scaring the bejesus out of no-hitters in 2 of his last 4 starts, the only no-hitter in franchise history remains Dave Steeb's no on September 2nd, 1990 against Cleveland, at Cleveland. But that's crazy. And so he goes from having a no to the Mets winning, I think 6-2 was the final.
Oh my gosh, yeah, even worse.
Yeah, they scored 6 in the 9th, starting with Lindor's leadoff homer, and just didn't stop. So they lead the Braves again in the wild card by a game now. So the Mets, who have been no-hit 8 times.
There's been several close calls this year, and the Blue Jays, yeah, man, talk about some bad luck. If you're at that game, you're thinking, okay, well, I'm on the verge of history. First time since 1990, and then 9th inning, you're probably texting your friends or trying to discreetly alert some folks that you might be privy to history here, and then
before you can get it out,
yeah.
0-2 fastball, and the Associated Press describes it as a no-doubt drive over the right field wall to give the Mets their first hit and tie the score at 1 apiece. So,
and it's interesting too. And Ohtani, go back to him real quick. That 50-50, Lindor's, East Coast bias, perhaps. Lindor is the guy that's really been skyrocketing, at least in terms of your betting odds for MVP. And so Ohtani, the fact he may need that 50-50 because if the New York media gets a whiff of that bad boy, I guess we got East Coast versus West Coast on our hands.
A little
beef for the
Tupac.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it, but it looks like Ohtani, especially if he submits it with that number or that milestone, feels like he's pretty safe.
Yeah, I think 50-50 is going to pretty well get it. But yeah, Lindor is certainly putting some pressure on him. Announced earlier today, if you are a fan of the University of Tennessee's baseball team, you don't necessarily have to go to Knoxville to see them. The Volunteers, your defending men's College World Champions, men's College World Series champions, there we go, will play an exhibition at First Horizon Park next month against Western Kentucky. So, the game is set for October 25th. It's a 6 o'clock start. It's exciting to welcome the 2024 national champions in their first game since taking home the title, said Sounds general manager and friend of the show, Adam English. I'm sure Vols fans in Middle Tennessee will be thrilled to watch their team in Hit City. It's also great to host a club from just up the road in Western Kentucky. Again, Tennessee 60-16 this past year, winning their first baseball national championship. Western Kentucky coming off its most successful season in recent history with a second straight Conference USA semifinals berth. Finished with 36 wins, their most since 2009, and the 9th most in program history. So you can go to NashvilleSounds.com for ticket information. And again, that's October 25th at First Horizon, Tennessee and Western Kentucky on the Diamond.
You know, Adam English was telling us a couple weeks ago when we had him on the show that, you know, they still got some irons in the fire.
It would have been nice if we could have broken that yesterday while we were there, but we'll have to reach out to Adam and kind of get after him a little bit for that. We were right there.
We were there. I will tell you this. I don't know if this has been announced yet, but several, don't know how many, don't know who exactly. I do think Tony V for sure, though. Some of the Tennessee Vols will be the 12th Titan at this weekend's game in the home opener versus the Jets. And there's a rumor. I don't know if this means mascot Smokey or real dog Smokey, but there's a rumor that Smokey is going to be around in addition to T-Rack for some pregame festivities for fans.
That sounds interesting.
I think Tony V for sure. Don't know who else in terms of your actual players, but I think they're expecting several, I was told, including, yes, Smokey. I think it's going to be more of the mascot just so we can get T-Rack and Smokey. But Tony V, you know, hey, I mean, think about this. You know, this could be the football ladies' paradise here. I mean, you got Will Levis, you got Aaron Rodgers, and you got Tony V all in the same building at the same time. I mean, hey, this is a I don't know if that was by design. I'm assuming it's to honor and recognize the achievements for the baseball program. But if you're looking for a way to entice a little bit of the audience there, the Titans may be onto something.
There is a certain demographic that would be drawn to that. I
got a couple of friends here in Pulaski that will probably be looking at their weekend plans a little differently once that news comes out.
There is certainly a demographic to which that would appeal. One final Sounds note, weather permitting. Grizzlies guard, former Vanderbilt standout Scottie Pippen Jr. will be part of a joint basketball and baseball clinic at the Northwest YMCA Saturday from 9 to 11:30. Scotty will then be in attendance for the Sounds and Redbirds game Saturday evening. So, again, weather permitting, make plans to attend and check out Grizzlies guard Scottie Pippen Jr. So, on that note, we conclude our number one of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company Studios, it is Throwback Thursday, and we will throw it back to a recent conversation that we had with David UBBEN of The Athletic. So be sure and stick around to check that out when we come back.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Any excuse to talk to David UBBEN of The Athletic, we take it. David joining us now from his home following a Thursday night visit to Boulder, Colorado. Did you get to partake in any tailgating, David, in Boulder?
No, I got to tell you, I haven't covered a Thursday night game in a long time, and I was walking into the stadium. I'm walking across campus. Colorado, the parking there is not my favorite parking situation in the world. But there are multiple students, and I heard one student say, "I'm sorry, I got to get to class." It was like 3 p.m. on a Thursday, and I was like, I don't think they should have canceled classes for a game, but I'm a little surprised that they didn't. And I don't miss having to go to class at 3:30 on a Thursday with a football game imminent. So it was nice to have the season back.
That's bad scheduling, though. I mean, I don't feel sorry for that kid.
That's true. I will say the one thing I tried. Well, now Thursdays you can't really help, but for me, I got through my entire college career with 0 8 a.m.s. One of my proudest accomplishments. I need to keep it on my resume. But the Friday, if you have a Friday class afternoon, then you are asking to fail that class. But Thursday, I loaded up my Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I think when you make the schedule, you're not thinking Thursday opener. So, let's give a little grace to the kids. A little grace to the kids.
Maybe he was a freshman. Maybe he was a freshman because I did have 8 o'clocks my freshman year. And, you think I've been going to school at 7:30, 8 o'clock all through high school. Why can't I do it in college?
Sounds reasonable.
It sounds reasonable, but the practicality of it does not apply. So, no, 8 o'clocks. I did them my freshman year. I did not do them again. But, those you do kind of load up on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And sometimes if you try to start with that 9:25 or whatever, sometimes your day can run a little late. Maybe I was a little harsh.
There was one year that I accidentally didn't give myself a lunch for a semester. I had a 10:30 to 11:45 and then a 12:15 across campus to a 1. I'd never thought about it. It didn't occur to me. And then the first day of classes, I was like, oh no.
we got a problem here.
This is going to be a long semester. And sure enough, it was. I tried to maybe grab some food, but that's, the art of scheduling college classes. In some ways, you're hamstrung, but it really does set the tone for like 4 months of your life. It's not an insignificant decision.
I almost feel sorry for people that don't have a brain to pick as far as that goes. And then sometimes you're at the mercy of what classes are available when and that kind of thing as well.
Get back into electives you got to have, and there's like 2 classes during the week. You're like, well, I guess that is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. We digress. David, the biggest thing on my mind coming out of week 1 of the college football season was Vanderbilt's 34-27 win over Virginia Tech, the second biggest SEC win.
Probably. I mean, it's the one that I think sort of reshapes a narrative. I mean, Vandy hasn't had a lot of juice. 2022, they beat Kentucky and Florida in consecutive weeks. But those were kind of teams that the wheels were wobbling a little bit on those 2 programs. Virginia Tech, this is a team, I was on board with them as a team that could challenge and maybe win the ACC, because I had a lot of questions about, well-founded questions now, about teams at the top of the ACC. I thought Virginia Tech was going to be a team that could push to compete, and maybe they still will. And maybe Diego Pavia and Tim Beck have been unbelievable additions to the program to the degree that we don't even recognize yet. But this is a team that brought back 20 starters in Virginia Tech from a 6-6 team a year ago. And Vandy, I mean, both sides of the ball. I mean, Diego Pavia was slinging it around, but they were pushing him around, especially early. And I think for them to take a pretty strong punch from Virginia Tech, rally, go win that game, I think that says a lot about the culture that Clark Lee has built, and adding guys into the fold like they did, and still having a team that's mental toughness. That's what mental toughness looks like. And I'm really intrigued. It resets the conversation for Vandy, for me, as a team that might be pretty dangerous, and how good Diego Pavia is, adding the CUSA Player of the Year and his OC and his head coach as your head coach's right-hand man. Winning football is winning football, just different rosters.
Obviously Pavia and New Mexico State went down to Auburn last year and beat them. Did we know Pavia was this good, or is Pavia this good?
I did. He's been doing this a couple years. I mean, he's a really, really fun player. But when you're, Auburn, it's like, it's Auburn in flux. And, Jerry Kill, such a good coach. We were talking about on the pod today. I went to AFCA last year, and Jerry Kill had retired and was giving one of the keynote speeches. And the way he commanded the room, I mean, I knew it for a long time, but seeing it in action, Jerry Kill is your favorite coach's favorite coach, basically. So having him in the program is such a huge asset. Like, people love that guy, and his teams squeeze every ounce of what they have on their roster. And you saw that with Vandy. So probably, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think he was a guy that really fueled a lot of what we saw at New Mexico State last year, and a guy that is hard to contain, hard to deal with, and a guy that we saw make some throws we haven't seen at Vandy since Kyle Shermer. So listen, is he the best player in the SEC? No, but I think he's a guy that gives you some juice. He's a guy that people want to rally around and play for. And when's the last time Vandy had that at quarterback? I mean, it probably is Shermer, right? So he's pretty special, man.
I guess my question was, yeah, sure, he did this at New Mexico State. Mm-hmm. Can it translate?
I think a lot of it is what you got around you. You know, you got some decent pieces around you, and certainly a better supporting cast at Vandy than he would have at New Mexico State. The problem is New Mexico State doesn't have to play an SEC schedule. So, is he going to put up, 300 yards to the air and 80 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns every week? Probably not. But I think he's going to make some plays. I think he's going to make defensive coordinators sort of sit up in their chair a little bit when they're prepping and preparing for Vanderbilt. And again, Vandy hasn't had that guy for a while. And I think just having that, a guy that's a little unpredictable, that is definitely a gamer, that you have to account for his feet and his hands, and is as tough as nails. We've seen that for years at New Mexico State. I mean, I was really intrigued. I don't think I thought that quite this was possible, but I thought definitely he could give them an upgrade at the position. And it's going to be fun to watch, man. Vandy is fun. And it's been a while since we've said that too.
They were running triple option at one point too. And the internet is just having a blast. I mean, it felt like a cool thing on Saturday. While you're talking about recalibration and maybe re-examining some situations, what did you personally take away from what you saw Thursday in a wild game that had a lot of explosive plays from the superstars on Colorado, but was almost there for the taking for North Dakota State at times in that contest?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know what the ceiling is necessarily for this Colorado team, but I'm also not sure what the floor is when you construct a roster the way they did. But I know this. Shador's great. The receivers are pretty special. I mean, they have one of the best receiving rooms in the country. The rest of the roster, I got a lot of questions about. They upgraded their pass rush. You add B.J. Green from Arizona State. You add Deion Hayes. You add Sam Okunlola. They should be better at rushing the passer. They did not bother North Dakota State's Cam Miller much on Thursday night. They had a lot of trouble stopping the run, a lot of trouble rushing the passer. I think they're okay in coverage. I think Travis Hunter is an unbelievable talent, an unbelievable receiver, a little overrated as a cover man. His football IQ is so crazy high that he can make, like the picks that he had last year were such highlight plays that you're just not going to see very much. But when I saw he won like Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year in the preseason, I'm like, I don't know about that, guys. He's a pretty special receiver, and he wants to play defense. But as a cover man, I think PFF graded him out at like 140th nationally last year. And we saw what happened, when they played Stanford, and Elakeo Menor, really worked him over and over again when they blew that 29-0 lead at halftime. So all that to say, I don't mean to take away from Travis Hunter, who's an unbelievable player, certainly in the case for the Heisman, one of the best players in the country. But that group of receivers is so fun, and they're going to throw it around. We'll see what Pat Shermer can do. I had moderate expectations for him coming in, but I liked what they did. I thought schematically they did some fun things, but it's going to be the same thing it was last year. Like Shador, I have a lot fewer questions about him. I think he's a really great player, but can you establish a running game? Can you keep Shador upright? Can you stop teams from running on you? Can you cover? We know they're going to be able to throw it around. Shador's going to put his numbers up. But how many wins will that get you if the other stuff is not improved? And you saw some flashes, but North Dakota State's not going to reveal that. Nebraska might reveal some this weekend. I'm going out to Lincoln on Friday to go check that game out. But I think Deion said it best today. Whether we win or we lose, people are watching. People want to watch. I think that's definitely true.
So are you the Colorado / Deion beat writer for the Athletic?
More or less. That's kind of been my role. That's kind of been my role. I think I'm going to say, counting the games that they played, like I went out to Oregon last year. I covered 4 of their first 5 games last year. I mean, trips that I've taken from Tennessee for Colorado purposes is like 8 or 9, 10, maybe 10 since Deion took over. So yeah, I mean, I've been out to Boulder 6 or 7 times since he took over. It's that's sort of a lot of my responsibility because there's so much attention placed on it. And, we wanted to have somebody that's, building institutional knowledge, building contacts, and not having just kind of our whole staff jumping around. So I've kind of been doing a lot of the Dion stuff, and it's been compelling. I think once these games start getting played again, we'll see. We'll get some more sense of kind of what things are going to look like. But if they start winning games, I mean, you're going to see it crescendo. Probably not as much as it did a year ago, but still crescendo. But I think the Dion conversation is so complicated because the team and the roster are irrefutably improved. This program is gone from being irrelevant to one of the 4 or 5 most relevant programs in the country. And the roster's better. They won more games, but you're still talking about a coach that finished dead last in the Pac-12 last year, has yet to beat a bowl team. So, whether you want to be all in on Dion or Dion's biggest hater, there's a lot of fuel for both sides of that argument. And that's why you're seeing so much polarization around that team.
David Ubben of The Athletic joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. David, my one question coming out of Thursday night, North Dakota State scores, can't come up with the 2-point conversion. They're down 31-26 late. Colorado's got the ball. I think they ran like 8 plays. 7 of them were passes. Why are you not pounding the ball and running the clock right there against an FCS opponent if you are what you say you are?
Because they can't. They cannot run the ball. They tried all last year. It did not work. And I think they knew, especially when you have a North Dakota State team that's stacked up waiting for the run, they had to run some of the jet sweep stuff, some of the quick stuff outside. I mean, at the end of the day, your best players are on the outside. Your best players are not on the offensive line. So get those guys in space, try to get them to make a play. They couldn't do that. And then one of those plays after they turned the first down, Shador saw a cover 0 look, like Jimmy Horn it was LeJontay Wester, from the Florida Atlantic transfer, liked him over the top in cover 0, had him open, underthrew it. I mean, Dion just had to kind of tell him, like, hey, like, be smart. We need those 40 seconds. If he just, kneels that ball or they run up the middle for a loss of 2, then when you're punting it back to North Dakota State, instead of having, I think, that 38 seconds, they have 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think these are the things that I think, when you feel like you can make plays, you're like, well, how about we just get a first down and end the game now? And it's like, that sounds good until you don't do it. And then it's like, and then you look back and you're like, oh, man, I probably should have done that. Yeah, man.
David, what is the bigger concern right now? 0-2 Florida State or 0-1 LSU, who has not won a season opener in the past 3 years, including 2 losses to
I mean,
Florida
I think LSU is going to be fine. I think USC was a team that I was pretty high on coming into the season. I think their Vegas over-under was like 7.5 games. I'm like, that Lincoln Riley's going to get an offense out of them, and they've had one of the worst defenses in the country the last 2 years. D'Anton Lynn, I love what he did, flipping UCLA's defense from, I think they were outside of the top 100, and they became a top 10, top 15 unit like overnight. Well, USC has better personnel. They might not have Latu on their group, but they're still going to improve. I think, worst case, they're probably 60th, 70th, and I think they're going to be better than that. And we watched them on Sunday night. The tackling was fantastic. So I think USC is better than people realize. Miller Moss looks really, really good. LSU is going to be fine. I get all the frustration. Brian Kelly didn't acquit himself great in the post-game press conference. Shout out to that Dasani water bottle for holding up despite the table banging. Great job.
Good weekend for water bottles with Florida as well in the mix.
It really was. It really was. The water bottles, listen, they weren't going to take it anymore. Shout out to the water bottles. But, I think it's they're going to be okay. Like LSU, you're still rebooting. I think they're a team that's going to have a huge jump defensively. I'm a big fan of what Blake Baker can do. At Missouri, he got a lot out of his guys. He has much better talent at LSU. They're not going to play USC's offense every week. They're going to be okay. Florida State, I mean, you look around at Florida State, you got DJU, who when you have to get off platform or off schedule, it has not gone well. You went back in the transfer portal to get a bunch of weapons. None of them are particularly good. Your offensive line doesn't seem to pass block very well. Can't clear the way for what I think are pretty good backs in Lawrence Toafili and Roydell Williams. Defensively, You're getting gashed on the run. You can't particularly rush the passer. Your coverage has issues. Like, what does Florida State do? Like, what did they do well? I don't see really anything. That's a team that is not okay. And if you told me in December that Florida State went 5-7, I would not be shocked. That is not a team that's okay. And the worst thing about it is, I mean, I was not particularly surprised at all. I thought Georgia Tech is a better team than people realize. I'm not as in on Boston College. I'm like, Florida State's not good enough to beat an ACC team by 17 points, a competent ACC team. In Boston College, we'll see how good they are. They looked pretty spicy. I like Thomas Castellanos, but they're competent. Like, that was my lock of the week on our pod this week, talking about our game picks. But I did not see them getting bullied like that.
Bullied them in. It seemed like Bill O'Brien called a great game for BC. So they really kind of had Florida State scratching their heads all night long. Real quickly, David, I want to ask you too. So we can safely assume it sounds like Florida State out of the playoffs. How much of a lock is it that Notre Dame is already in the playoff after their win versus Texas A&M on the road this weekend?
Well, their schedule kind of gets a little weird because they only had 3 preseason top 25 teams on their record. Notre Dame is one. Notre Dame's probably going to be fringe top 25. We'll see how it breaks for them if they can stay healthy and how it looks in year 1 under Mike Elko. They might be a top 25 win. They'll probably be a top 40 win. USC, I'm like, well, if they lose, they could fall out of the top 25, but they go up to the top 15 today. But now you're looking at Florida State, and you're like, well, that game doesn't look that's no longer a top 25 game. So you need your wins to hold up. But I still think, regardless of what you want to say about Notre Dame's schedule, if they go 10-2, they are not getting left out of the playoff, period. That's insane to suggest. They are getting in the playoff. And Notre Dame, quite frankly, might go 12-0. So, they're prepare yourselves for that. I don't even think this is a team that's like probably one of the 10 best teams in the country. But if you're 12-0, you're going to have that 5 seed if you're Notre Dame. And if you're 10-2, you're getting in regardless of what people want to say about the schedule. I think they may be humbled if they play an elite team in the playoff. But they're a really good team. And, Marcus Freeman seems like he's gotten out some of the game management stuff that we saw early in his career. And we'll see how this team handles one of the easier schedules that we've seen at Notre Dame in quite some time. And, people can rip on it, but, like, Notre Dame's schedule is pretty tough. Like, this is sort of a fluke with the way their schedule ironed out this week.
Easy schedule, and most sharp writing from David, who pointed out that, in 2 weeks when they take on Purdue, Zach Edey won't be able to play defense for Purdue. So
he's not going to be
I see where you're going with that. I like Notre Dame's chances a little better with Edey not being out there in the different sport there.
I got to tell you, it was funny. I did – we were talking about the Vandy win. I was writing about the ACC, and I said – that Virginia Tech was one of the trendiest playoff picks, but they showed up to their opener in Jinko jeans and an Ed Hardy shirt. But they took it out because our editors did not know what Jinko jeans were, and I felt very bad. I said, listen, we got to put some respect on Jinko. But maybe the funniest fashion trend, a very real fashion trend from our junior high and high school days. Mo, do you know what Jinko jeans are?
I'm afraid I don't.
I had a pair back in the day.
There you go.
I don't know if I'm ashamed to admit or proud to admit at this point. We've got to reach that precipice.
No, imagine this. Imagine if you went to junior high every day wearing jeans that showed that you were ready to be a 2003 NFL draft pick. The biggest possible pants you could find.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. I mean, I don't know, but I would have asked. I wouldn't have just taken it out of hand. So,
a lot of people would not get it, but I did get a lot of angry messages about Zach Edey for me. People worried that I was confused, that I didn't know which sport he played. But it is what it is.
David Ubben of The Athletic dropping jokes, among other things, headed back out to Colorado, headed to Nebraska, right? That
yes,
game is at
but I think this will be the last Colorado game I cover for a while. But if they keep winning, that probably is not going to be true. So we'll see.
It should be interesting.
It will be. I don't know how that one's going to play out. I don't have a great feel for that at all.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking some time with us and look forward to visiting with you again here soon.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Welcome back to Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That is Wade Neely, and that Throwback Thursday visit with David UBBEN wasn't necessarily to expose us, but that Notre Dame conversation doesn't look nearly as good now as it did then, following the North Illinois debacle in South Bend this past weekend. So
no, it does not. We weren't the only ones, but we definitely were some of the ones.
Yeah, exactly. That said, let's bring in CHERI KEMPF of Athletes Unlimited. Some big news coming out of that organization earlier this week, as they will play their 2025 women's basketball schedule at Nashville's Municipal Auditorium. And CHERI, good afternoon. Thanks for taking some time with us. Really appreciate it. I know how busy you are, and I know that this is really an exciting development for you all. CHERI's muted, Dave. Mark, excuse me. Mark? Oh, there we go.
You got
we
me?
Can hear you now, CHERI.
Yeah, welcome in.
Hi there. Thank you. No, I thank you for having me. Good to see you both. The news is exciting. Listen, we have had our eye on Nashville for a long time. As I know, we're not alone in that aspect, and this is my home city. So of course, I have been all over the country with Athletes Unlimited, and kind of waiting for this moment to bring one of our sports to Nashville. On both sides. First of all, for our players, because I know that this will be a first-class experience and something special for them to remember, and a tremendous environment to play in. But on the other side, for Nashville, I've been here for a very long time in my life and been involved in sports and athletics for a very long time. So to bring a women's professional sports event to this town is special to me on a lot of levels.
And again, you have been here for a long time and have been involved in women's athletics in Nashville for a long time. And you know the history of women's basketball in Nashville and in Tennessee. And so to be able to bring basketball specifically to this area, I would imagine at the professional level, I would imagine is a really special thing for you to be a part of.
Yes, I think so. And I think people realize, I think the whole country knows that Tennessee and basketball, particularly women's basketball, are synonymous. And you have the Hall of Fame located in this state, and a lot of history in the sport, thanks to Pat Summitt and so many others that are now contributing to that in a positive way. But I think to be able to bring the sport here at the professional level is something new and different that Tennessee, and particular Nashville, has not seen in a long time. And I know how we do it at Athletes Unlimited, and I know it's a lot of fun. And so the product on the court will be special and memorable and inspiring, I think, to everyone that watches it.
I think Athletes Unlimited is really a dynamic concept, and I'm not sure that everybody is necessarily aware of how things work with Athletes Unlimited, Cheri. I think it started with softball, and you all have added other sports as you've gone, but just kind of explain to people kind of the concept of AU Pro Sports.
Yeah, I think the best, if you were to say one word, it's intense in terms of just the competition itself, just because so much the season is shortened and so much relies on every play for the players themselves. But the general concept is that you take a roster of players in basketball. It's 44 players come to one location, and they go onto a leaderboard. So again, basketball 1 through 44, they go onto that leaderboard, and there are different things that move them up and down the leaderboard. Individual statistics can contribute to that. And also after each game, the players vote on game player MVPs for that game. So there's 3 of those. There's points awarded. That can move them up and down the leaderboard. But nothing will be more significant than win points. So for every quarter that's played, one team or the other team wins that quarter. So if we go out and my team scores 20 and your team scores 16, my team won the quarter. Everybody on my team gets leaderboard points for that. And then there's also win points for the game win. So those things are going to move the players, as you can imagine, up and down that leaderboard. It will change, but every week, it's a total of 4 weeks. Every week, the top 4 players on that leaderboard are team captains, and they draft their teams. So if I'm at the top of the leaderboard, my team is going to wear gold this week. We have 4 sets of uniforms. The gold team is the number 1. My team's going to wear gold, and I'm going to draft my team along with the other 3 captains. And then I'm going to play each of those teams one time. The cadence is you play on the first day, you have an off day, you play on the second day, and play on the third day. and then you redraft and you do it all again. So there's 4 total drafts, 4 weeks of competition. And at the end, you're not crowning a team champion, you are crowning an individual champion. So there will be one player sitting on top of that leaderboard. And that's sort of the difference overall. So it's taking team sports. So we have basketball, softball, lacrosse, and volleyball. So it's taken team sports and breaking those up into individual movements. But a lot of people, including me, at the beginning thought, you can't individualize a team sports like this. But what it actually does, the magic of it and the fun of it, is to watch the drafts and watch these teams come together. There are no real coaches. The captains are really steering the ships, their own ships of these teams. They have facilitators that help them do that, which you would recognize as some former coaches or WNBA coaches at times. But really, it's a cool concept to see them assemble the teams and compete.
It sounds riveting for sure. It kind of just sounds a touch overwhelming almost, but I'm sure once you see it in action, it makes a lot more sense. But Cheri, I am curious, and you kind of answered it a little bit, the entertainment factor of this, kind of to me as a layperson or an outsider, is that concept of that draft and kind of, I'm not exactly sure. I'm buying a ticket to something I know that I have a clue of what to expect, but it could be beyond my wildest imagination, depending on how that potential draft shakes out. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there with that, Wade. The draft is fun and it has its moments. It has its, gaspy moments when you see players. Maybe 2 players as WNBA enemies to some degree. Maybe they're on opposite teams. Maybe they're key rivals, and you watch one of them draft the other one, or you see them drafted on the same team by a single captain. And now you're sort of like this, let's see this play out. So I think that is interesting, especially to the people that like to get to the nitty gritty. To the people that don't really get into anything as deep, you're going to go watch top talent play against each other, and they play hard, and you just see some spectacular action.
Are there any repercussions for horrific drafts? Kind of like we see general managers getting ran out of town for taking number 1 overall picks that don't end up so well. What other than just, tongue in cheek, how does this play out in the grand scheme of things with the draft order, I suppose?
You don't get to pick again.
Yeah, you're going to fall
done,
out
right?
of the top 4. Yes, yes. But honestly, Wade, it's a good point because, my background is steeped in softball, but I've seen sometimes hitters will be captains, and they'll start loading up. I saw a top player one time from the 2nd spot on the leaderboard, and it was the 6th round before she pulled a pitcher. And you're just thinking, this is going to be a disaster. And it was.
Just as you suspected. Cheri Kemp of Athletes Unlimited joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Cheri, you began with softball. That's right. Is that right?
That's right. I'm not sure. When I got the call, so the co-founders are John Patrikoff and Jonathan Soros. And when I first started talking to John Patrikoff, it was just a good conversation. I was the commissioner of the National Pro Fast Pitch League. I had been sitting in that chair for 13 years. And when John called me, he was pretty sure they were going to launch women's ice hockey. And he thought they would add one more sport. This is 2020. He thought they would add one more sport. And he thought probably was going to be indoor volleyball, but he wanted to know my thoughts on softball and the prospect there. And I think he also, as commissioner of an existing league, he wanted probably to see my reaction. I was all for it because they never wanted to compete with us. They wanted to come on the tail end of our season. And what that was going to do was really turn most of our softball players into full-time professionals because it was going to give them 2 seasons to pull a check. And so I was really all for it. I wanted to help them. I wanted to, quite honestly, convince them to choose softball. So I just started kind of hustling and trying to, steer him in the right directions and help whenever I could. And, in that time period, COVID hit. They did decide softball came together fairly easily with the venue. The first sport was softball in August of 2020 when no one else was really playing ball. So it was certainly a unique undertaking. And I think a lot of people thought the structure was born because of COVID, but it really wasn't. It was just that's how it was put together from the beginning, was to take a cluster of athletes and put them in the same location.
Well, and I think it's really cool from the standpoint that I guess the athletes are all employed by the league, and they're all paid by the league. And so you don't have franchises per se. So that kind of lessens the burden from a financial standpoint and probably makes it a little bit more stable, I would guess.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Maurice, and a great observation. And I would have to sort of preclude my answer by saying, I was in women's professional sports for 13 years and saw the worst of it, really. And so I would add to that and tell you that when you have a company that's as responsible as Athletes Unlimited and as forward first with players as Athletes Unlimited is, each sport has a player executive committee that's contributing to every decision. We have 2 athletes on the general board of the whole organization, and it's so thoughtful throughout with putting athletes first. So when you have a company that's that way, it really does put the business forward in a real positive way. You don't have selfish owners that are doing it for their own personal gain or their own personal reasons and really trying to get off track, people that constantly need to be reprimanded or managed or, will really pull you away from the common goals of developing something. So, and as you said, what happens a lot of times with upstarts is, guess what? You play for, 4 or 5 weeks and all of a sudden nobody's getting paychecks or paychecks are bouncing. And so those are things that our players have never had to be concerned with. And I think we grow together in working with the players. And so I think for all those reasons and all those ways, it's positive.
And with women's basketball in particular, we've seen the horror stories. We've heard the horror stories. There's no need really to get into the horror stories here, but this gives some of these women's professional basketball players an opportunity to draw another check at home.
That's right. And we get a lot. So last year, at least a little over half the roster were active WNBA players. So players that wanted to continue to play but wanted to be here, did not want to go overseas. And so I think you see that. And then, there's the constant conversation of there are more great professional level women players coming out of college every year than there are roster spots in the WNBA to support them. So I think in that way, we've seen some people that are not on a WNBA roster, but deserve to be or could be, let's say that, and are good enough to be and have really stood out and been entertaining. So I think that's something that we're proud of, as well as having the W players and also working with the WNBA. I think we have a great relationship with them. Our content, our live games are often found on their app. And so that's been fun too, to build alongside them in that way.
I'm glad you said that because I wanted to ask you, Nashville has been mentioned as a potential WNBA expansion city. And I would feel a little uncomfortable necessarily asking you this if you all were, quote, in competition with the WNBA. But do you think y'all's presence here maybe helps it enhance, or is maybe a trial balloon for the WNBA to look and see how it's received before they make a decision along those lines?
I would say I know it is. They absolutely know that we're here. They saw the announcement. They followed along as we were working with Nashville and considering Nashville. And really, from point one of us saying, hey, this is where we're looking to potentially be beginning in 2025, right away, they were very keen on, we'd love to see Nashville. We'd love to see how that looks. And so I think that's something that we are excited about too, excited about helping. And, because I live here, I also think that's, it's appealing to me. If we played the smallest role of roles in a WNBA franchise eventually landing here, I think that's something to be proud of. So we don't compete with them in any way. As you know, the seasons don't cross, and we like the fact that we are able to support those players in the way we do in their WNBA off season. And if we can help the league and help cities like Nashville find a place in the league, that's very exciting right now, by the way. I think that's just another feather in our cap.
I think so. And I think this is all exciting news. And with that being said, how do you guys kind of continue to keep this momentum? This is a big story sitting here in early September, but we got quite a bit of time until early February. So for you guys, whether it's you personally or you guys as an organization, what is the goal to kind of increase that awareness in Nashville in the coming weeks and months?
I think, I will tell you, I think our sport director, Megan Perry, is fantastic. She is a person that also had a background with the WNBA and in broadcasting, and she's a go-getter. And she's a person that is sort of finds attention easily. And so I think that we have a good plan from a company standpoint to continue to be relevant in the conversation. And we were chomping at the bit to get the announcement out. We were sitting on it for a while. We had made the decision for quite a while, and we're really looking forward to it because of that, so that we could then start rolling it out and, doing different activities and sort of making plans around it. And as a matter of fact, just chatting with some folks from the WNBA yesterday and thinking, is there an event that we can co-host together leading up to the season that would be good for Nashville and everyone that's involved. So I think it is, we talked about it a second ago, just basketball, women's basketball in Tennessee going hand in hand the whole way. And even in the Nashville area, you can't throw a stone and not hit a building that has women's basketball in it. So the Belmonts, the Lipscombs, the Techs, that you go to Austin Peay or even Western Kentucky and Tennessee State, and I haven't even mentioned the Orange School there in those. So I think there's so many things going on here that are exciting, and each one of those having some fan bases that are educated, that follow along, that are going to recognize these players that are going to walk back out on the court. I mean, I'm excited. We had Izzy Harrison and Dory Harrison in the league last year. I know Izzy gave a shout out, in her words, to the 615 when we announced it. So, there's just a lot of enthusiasm around it. I love bringing players home. I love seeing players play at home in the markets they grew up in. And so I think there's going to be a lot of familiarity, and it's on us, Wade, to stay in the conversation. But I think that's easy to do with so much basketball around.
Absolutely. And a lot of local players, as you mentioned, and that's just folks from Tennessee, but then obviously players that have spent time at Tennessee institutions. So I love what this is set up to be and could be. And I'm very excited about next February already.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I am too. I hope people come out. I always, I believe, I think it's one of the things we look for when we're talking about venues is, where will there be an enthusiastic crowd for this particular sport? We play lacrosse in Sparks, Maryland. We do that for a reason. And so I think that you couldn't ask for a better place to land women's basketball. And I love that for our players. I was a player. It's different. There is an energy that fans bring to an event that as a player you can feel. And I think professional players deserve that. And I'm excited about the possibilities here in Nashville.
CHERI Camp of Athletes Unlimited joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. CHERI, we appreciate you taking some time with us and look forward to catching up with you again and again, hopefully between now and the start of the season in February. So thanks.
Sure thing. Thank you both.
All righty.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark, should we take a break or should we just roll into this final segment?
Let's go into it.
Let's go into it. All right. So let's jump straight into the grab bag here as we wind down things here on Main Street Sports today. Obviously, as Wade and I mentioned during the rundown, big game in AFC East play tonight as Buffalo travels to Miami. Obviously, matchup of two of the top 6 quarterbacks in the league. Wade, what would you say?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm still out on. I'm not a full-fledged member of TUAnon, like a lot of folks are.
I've never heard that.
He looks real good in the months of September and October, and especially down in Miami. But I'm not all the way on board yet. But he's certainly in the upper half of quarterbacks in the league for sure. And I think this is going to be a fun matchup tonight.
Well, he's certainly got plenty to work with too. Which
got plenty to work with, but it could be a situation, Mo, just like we saw on Monday Night Football. There's still some consternation about who's going to go, and sounds like Achane is going to be ruled out, depending on who you're reading.
Well, it sounds like
Mostert's already. Yeah, Mostert is out. It sounds like for sure, and Achane, they're doing that song and dance right up until kickoff. So Jeff Wilson Jr. Could be in line to get those carries, or. Yeah, maybe Tua himself gets involved in the running game. Maybe we got a good old-fashioned quarterback versus quarterback rushing battle here tonight.
That could be interesting. But yeah, definitely bear watching. That one is on Amazon tonight, right?
Yep, 7:15 should be pretty good. Maybe the cowbell game. Knock on wood. Maybe we stay on schedule and don't get any delays tonight, and maybe we'll get to catch the fourth quarter when we get home.
For entertainment purposes only, the homestanding Dolphins are a 1.5-point favorite, and the number is 49, Wade.
Man, Vegas is really good on this stuff, are they not? Because I could see this game going either way. To me, it feels like the Dolphins should have lost that game last week to the Jaguars, if we're being honest. Jaguars, Etienne, I mentioned it on the show the other day. Etienne fumbled going in. And on the very next play, Tua finds Tyreek Hill for that 80-yard pass. That is a massive swing in that game that ultimately helped Miami get the win. So I'm not sure on either of these teams. I'm going to stay away if I had to. If I had to pick, I would lean Buffalo just because I didn't like as much what I saw out of Miami. But then again, I didn't like what I really saw out of Buffalo, who really kind of stunk it up versus Arizona at times last week. I think it'll be an ugly game, and it'll be entertaining in its own weird, sadistic way tonight.
There was a lot in the grab bag that we will not be getting to, but one thing that we do need to mention, A'ja Wilson became the WNBA's single season scoring record holder last night. Now, that's partially a function of the expanded schedule with the WNBA playing a 40-game regular season schedule now, but it's also a function of A'ja Wilson once again being the best player in the league. She's got 956 points, The previous record was set last year by Jewel Lloyd of 939. And obviously, Asia is going to become the league's first 1,000 point scorer in the regular season. So kudos to her. The Aces still in fourth place overall right now with 4 games left to play, I guess. So again, she's 44 points short of 1,000. They've got 4 games left. She's gonna average more than 11 points a game. So this is pretty much a done deal. But they defeated the Fever last night, 86-75. But again,
speaking of which, real crazy shout out.
Big accomplishment for her.
Quick crazy shout out. Jordan Ramsey is one of our members of the Pulaski Police Department. Good friend, former Martin Methodist basketball standout. She and her wife are big Aces fans. They drove to Indy last night to watch this game. And talk about a game to go to. You get to see one up-and-coming team in the Fever. You get to see your team, the Aces, and you go on the record-breaking night. Jordan was, popping stories up on her Instagram. I'm like, you just lived the life, Miss Jordan Ramsey. So her and Maddie had a big time watching their girl Asia and the Aces take care of business.
Asia is averaging 27.3 points a game.
And she's missed a couple, right? We just she sat out at least 1 or 2 games recently, I thought.
She sat out this weekend. She sat out the game against the Liberty on Sunday. Her first missed game since 2019. But she came back with a vengeance. And again, averaging 27.3 points a game, which is 2 more than the previous single season high of 25.3 by Diana Taurasi back in 2006. So she is averaging almost 5 points more than anybody else in the league.
She's unreal. Like I said, best in the world. It's not fair, really. And that's what I'll be fascinated to see what Vegas does the rest of the way, because you could have a pretty darn good team just with her. But when you throw in Plum, Gray, I mean, you got Alicia Clark, a 2-time champ, just chilling on the bench as your 6th woman, basically. I mean, they are loaded on paper. And it'll be interesting to see how they kind of maybe maneuver through the playoffs here.
Coming off that ankle that kept her out of the Liberty game on Sunday, 27 points, 12 boards, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Yeah, maybe she just needed a rest.
She would be a #1 pick in Athletes Unlimited. I'm pretty confident.
Now, she would be doing the picking most likely.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually. She would rule that league. She already rules with this league. She might as well just play in that one for fun and rule that one too.
She might as well play in this one this year to play in Nashville so that we can go see her.
Now we're talking.
It's a lot closer than Indianapolis.
I like that.
Or we can just hitch a ride with Jordan.
Man, yeah, she just got back from a vacation too. I got to message her about that. I was like, what on earth? What? I gotta be like Jordan Ramsey when I grew up. Former Clark Range, whatever their mascot is, standout.
Lady Buffaloes.
Lady Buffaloes, thank you, before she came to Martin Methodist. And yeah, she's a member of our PPD here. Took her and the wife up there last night.
Okay.
Had good seats. Had good seats too. I was like, man, come on now.
So she played for Lamar Rogers up there. Okay. Nice. That is going to do it for the Friday. I'm sorry. For the Thursday edition, specifically Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, here presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Join us tomorrow when our guest will be former Columbia Central standout pitcher Jaden Ham, now in his 2nd pro season with the Detroit Tigers, and Scott Ramsey of the Nashville Sports Council as we talk a little Big Machine Music City Grand Prix in Glade. Come back tomorrow, 2 o'clock. We'll see you then.